right, welcome back to Pints of Politics, episode 30.
Yeah, big 3-0, man.
Yeah, getting up there, man.
Hey, and it seems like we're always progressing and developing on the show, and we got a new home.
Yes.
Thanks
to our new sponsor, Session Studio.
Yeah,
is this house number 2 or 3 on the property?
Yeah, this is, as Gary Brewer says, this is the 15,000 square foot guest house. 8 bedrooms, 6.5 bath.
It's only going to get larger.
Oh, boy.
But today's beer, Founders All Day Grapefruit, Session Hazy Grapefruit IPA.
Yep.
Says flavorful and easy drinking. I will go with flavorful. If you like grapefruit, easy drinking.
Yeah. Seems like this is 2 weeks in a row. I think down with when we were at USC, the social media lab, it had a little bit of grapefruit.
Yeah, but it was, I mean,
it was tasty, though.
That one was really good. It was just too high of alcohol content.
Yeah. 9.5%.
Yeah. I mean, did they charge you double for something like that at a...
Yeah. That's why you pay $15 for 4 or something like that.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, Founders All Day Grapefruit. Thanks to Comer Distributing. Thanks once again, Chip. Like we said before, we're out of the 742 studio.
No more church drums going on or worship music going behind us.
That's right, man. Well, before we get started, because we are in South, what did you catch the FSU game?
I caught the highlights. I watched all the, I guess, the playthrough today where you don't watch them in between downs. It just shows each play.
Yeah, right.
And that was a shocker. But, I mean.
It's first week.
But DJU is, whenever he was at Clemson.
Yeah.
The problem was it always seemed like he was a check down quarterback. Like if he goes deep, he's forcing it in between people.
Right.
So he's always checking down. The ball's never moving, and it doesn't appear that that's changed at all.
Not at all. And his movement in the pocket is something they're going to work on.
So what is his third school in 3 years?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. We were talking about this begs the question about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
The NCAA, the SEC, that maybe just individual conferences, I think need to address it. Whether it's one move, one transfer, and then the only other way you can transfer without sitting out a season would be when a coach who had recruited you gets fired, and that's the exception.
Right. I could understand that.
But this thing of, I think there was probably a reason Saban got out when he did. I mean, it's only that environment's only getting more challenging.
Yeah.
And can you imagine having to recruit your own players halfway through a season?
Right.
Because
you didn't play me?
Yeah.
So you don't have that discipline anymore.
And because state governments, I mean, we saw it with our NIL legislation this past year. Lawmakers are always going to be following, right, the markets and what's going on. So until there's a template for how coaching staffs and administrators at colleges and universities can uniformly deal with college athletes and NIL contracts and all that stuff, I think you're going to continue to see it.
How long do you think Lenore Sellers stays at USC?
I think it depends on how he performs, don't you?
It's going to be depending on how this season goes, I believe.
But hypothetically, Sellers is a true sophomore, right? Let's say he's on Heisman watch in week 8. He's going to be getting some phone calls, I'm sure. From folks representing other interested universities.
Well, I don't think that they can they?
I don't know. I haven't explored that deep into it, but
I think they have to wait till after the season.
Yeah.
Like there's a time period.
There is a window.
Because you will get in trouble for doing so.
But I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's not the player, him or herself, it would be the friend who's talking to a guy. We all know that guy,
Well, I mean, and you want to be there with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in the NFL, or NBA, you'd always hear about they get together for these all-star teams, and someone like, why don't you come play with us?
Yeah.
But I do miss the days of people coming in and staying with the team. I think college basketball got ruined whenever they...
The one and done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once they started doing the one season and done.
I stopped watching the regular season.
Yeah.
I think I started paying attention when, the conference playoffs and championships started, and then you got the dance.
Yeah.
Which is always
And
one of
maybe
the
we're
greatest
just
things in
old and
sports.
always complaining.
That could be a part of it.
Never know whether we're not adapting well to change.
But yeah. But I tell you, watching FSU stumble out early in the gates just makes me thankful. And I hope I'm not jinxing it here, that we're playing a smaller university like Old Dominion or whoever the team may be.
Me too. I mean, I'm glad we picked Georgia week 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, but you may catch them slipping, So that is, if I am Clemson, I'm looking forward to that, right? Because, hey, and it's a noon kickoff.
I mean, half their team's been arrested. Are they playing or
Not
are
anymore.
they?
Not anymore. Kirby's got that whole program.
Oh, so they didn't get suspended. or
yeah,
anything
that's
for
right. Like Steve
X number
Spurrier
of
used to
games?
say, yeah.
That's probably why they picked it first. It was
But,
half of
yeah.
them's going to be gone first week 1.
But, so yeah, noon kickoff, which surprised me. So these are college kids in Atlanta,
Dublin.
right? No.
Oh, you talking
about
noon.
your game.
Yeah, Clemson and Georgia.
Yeah, noon next Saturday. You'll be barely getting out of bed.
I can't
for a noon
imagine
kickoff.
going to Dublin, Ireland to play a college football game.
Yeah.
That blows me away. And why
it would have made more sense, right? If it was FSU Notre Dame. Going to a predominantly Catholic country, like, you know what I mean? That would have made sense. I didn't understand the Georgia Tech FSU thing, but hey, kudos to that's a new coach over there at Georgia Tech. Putting it together.
It's not that triple option anymore, that's for sure.
So officially, the Seminoles are in 17th place in the ACC conference. Everybody else
After
is
undefeated last year.
And they have one loss, but
yeah, to open up with a loss against Georgia Tech, which is, I mean, and granted, like, so you don't play video games, but I've been playing that college football game that come out.
NCAA?
Yeah. And it's always funny because the announcers talk, and if you're playing, they always mention about the ACC, how it's always a toss-up. Like, you never know who's going to win the conference because it always seems like some dark horse comes out of nowhere every year and becomes a contender.
Oh, okay. Like Duke early on last year, or
Duke, you might have North Carolina come up. Back in the day, it was Maryland. I remember Clemson could not get past Maryland.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what games we won.
Or Pitt.
Yeah.
I tell you, that's a strong football conference right there.
Well, and Pitt's a ranked team now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got a pretty strong senior quarterback.
Okay.
They've got big money. That's the owner of the Panthers school.
Oh, Tepper?
Yeah, that's Tepper Schools. So they've got big money coming in there. We've got SMU. I mean, that was
right.
Johnny B. Good whenever you could pay players. So now they're paying players again.
Yeah, that's right. And they got past Nevada late, I saw yesterday. But yeah, it should be.
Now they added Cal to the Atlantic Coast Conference.
It should be an exciting football season.
Yeah.
Now that you have a 12-team playoff, you got to think Power 5's going to get at least 2, almost.
Yeah.
Power 5s will get 2 in.
What division was it that went down? Like, they don't even have enough teams in their division. Was it Big 12?
Yes.
That went down?
Yeah, they lost Oklahoma. They lost Texas to the SEC.
They lost more than that. I mean, there seemed to be a lot of teams.
Yeah, I'd have to double check, but
But
yeah, looking forward to the Gamecocks football season. I don't know. Again, it's early, so I'm hopeful.
Well, hopefully the.
How about y'all, Clemson? What's
I mean, Clemson. I mean, Cade Klubnik's going into his junior year.
Yeah.
So hopefully a little bit better. We've got an awesome freshman in Vizina.
Backing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel more comfortable in the quarterback position right now. But whereas Clemson used to be wide receiver we've lost a lot of that recruiting that we used to.
How is the transfer portal? Because I know.
What is that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I know you're.
I'm a Clemson fan.
I know Dabo has not embraced. He's not even utilizing it, right?
Not really, but he said that there's not any players that he would rather have than what he has on the roster.
Okay.
And out of the players that have entered the transfer portal.
Okay. So if there was an all-star.
Yeah, if there's an all-star, maybe he goes after him. But
Okay.
what he's saying is, look, I believe in the guys that I recruited. I recruited them for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes. Hopefully that will keep some of the players from leaving. You know, the only player that I'm aware of really that's left Clemson was DJ.
Really?
I
He
mean,
hasn't lost that many?
I just don't see too many people leaving.
Okay.
And especially not any starters.
That definitely makes the coach's job easier when your
Yeah.
players are not
And I think
revolving year in and year out.
That's
So,
his focus.
yeah.
I mean, why constantly recruit when it's easier to keep what you have than it is to
Oh, I
recruit
totally
new?
agree.
And use that as a marketing ploy. Say, you know, I'm only taking on the best that I can find,
Yeah.
and you're one of the few that I'm choosing.
Yeah.
I'm not going out and trying to find someone to replace you in the transfer portal.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see how they could amend or revise that transfer portal
Yeah.
just to make sure those players stay around a little longer. But
I mean, I don't know. Is there a max that New Spring can pay for NIL?
oh, boy. Here we go. Well, let's talk about this past week, man. You and I went and visited the Catawba Nuclear Station out here. Duke was very gracious in welcoming us two. Tommy Pope made it.
Yep.
There was others invited, but they just couldn't.
Ligon couldn't make it. I know he was
Yeah.
invited, but
I think Newton as well.
he said he's got to make some money.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
had a closing that day.
yeah. It was
but-
a work day.
But, you know,
but,
44 years in Rock Hill, and the only time I've been out to the nuclear station was to jump off the bridge as a teenager, which is illegal. I do not suggest doing that. But back then, it was just
hypothetically speaking.
back then it wasn't as secure because it was pre 9/11 and everything
Oh,
else.
right.
So you could go out there and people would have their boats down there by the bridge and the catwalk and everything else.
Yeah, right. I just
But
thought
we
it
actually
was
had a kid die last year doing that, jumping off.
really.
Yeah. Because the old remnants of the old bridge, I believe, are sticking up in random places. So we kind of quit doing that after we had heard about it, but
Yeah.
evidently it's kind of made its way back.
Well, what was your takeaways? I mean,
I was thoroughly impressed on, I mean, granted, it's nuclear energy, but
right.
you've got to be safe. But the safeguards that we have in place, you know, just speaking of the Fukushima disaster,
Yeah.
and them talking about how all of their emergency equipment was in one place, and then they couldn't get to it, and they were trying to use car batteries
Yeah.
to keep the reactor going. Whereas, you know, Duke has, with the forethought to build everything and separate it out, whereas if a disaster was
Well,
to happen,
I think that didn't she say that came out of the Fukushima?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the industry, when bad things happen to one facility, they do a lessons learned, trying to make sure their individual facilities are better equipped for disasters. But man, it's like Mike Tyson said, you
everybody's got a
Plan
plan until you
till-
get punched in the mouth.
right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was, man, it was extremely clean, extremely like orderly, like, you know what I mean?
Everything's taped off. The
color
security is
coding,
unreal.
The duplication.
Yeah.
You know, we all joked around like I couldn't imagine working here because if you got to report in at 6 a.m., you better get there at 5:30.
Yeah.
In order to get
And you have to work a 12-hour shift.
Yeah, in order to show your ID, get through the first security checkpoint, go through the gate, because they
Yeah.
have the fingerprinting and all that kind of stuff.
The retina scan
Yeah.
for the employees. But
So
yeah.
and just all the security and
I love the fact that they pointed out that they have these what they call it, drills, where people try to infiltrate.
yeah, basically like a tiger team
Yeah.
that will try and bust into the nuclear facility and just to test the soft spots
Yeah.
of the facility, of the security staff. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
I love that. But, you know, I mean, and whenever we went into the control room,
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
the
Being very like the red carpet.
Yes.
Or we're like no-goes. Don't stand there.
don't lean up against, and the mixture of 70s equipment and then the high-tech graphs and
It
everything.
looked like what was that? War Games with Matthew
Yeah.
Broderick back in the day, you know. I mean,
the Hunt for Red October.
saw this old like, dot matrix printed labels, you know. It's like
Yeah.
That's probably been here since '84. But yeah, and that was another thing that I took away was the constant education of those control room, the staff.
Yes.
What are they saying? Every 5 weeks,
They have to
in
go back and do
school?
testing. So,
yeah.
like being an attorney, imagine having to take the bar every 5 weeks. Like that is,
I think our friend Tommy Pope said, "I don't think I'd be an attorney if we
Yeah.
if I had to take a pop quiz every 5 weeks."
that's true. Yeah.
But
I don't know, but it shows you how prepared you have to be.
yeah,
And that the people there know what they are doing,
Yep.
which is what we want with something that could potentially be so dangerous.
yeah, and just the science behind nuclear energy is fascinating.
Yeah.
And you know they broad stroked it for us simpletons. But
I enjoyed it, so I didn't know how many nuclear plants there were,
yeah,
especially the plant in the middle of the mountain.
oh right,
What was that up around Pickens,
Oconee.
Oconee County?
Yep.
But you know, just learning about that and learning that, you know, that one of the big problems that we have is we can't store the energy.
Oh right,
The battery technology can't keep up.
yeah,
We can on the reusable, say solar, wind. We use that to store batteries, but just too much is coming in with nuclear to be able to do that.
Well, and you know, I thought it was great timing too. You know, this past year we passed the energy bill. I think it was House Bill 5118. It died in the Senate, obviously, but you know, good news is the Senate's taking up the ad hoc. They're having ad hoc energy.
And they're actually going to use ours to kick off with.
So
After all the negative things that were said, it seemed like, oh, well, I guess these guys did do their research.
yeah,
So,
you're welcome, Senate. No, yeah. So hopefully that's a good sign, right?
yeah.
President Alexander has gotten. I mean, man, and it's heavy hitters, man. Massey. Hey, they even got Setzler doing some work before he officially.
Well, give it to me one more time.
So yeah, Massey, Setzler, Peeler, Clymer's there. President Alexander is there. I mean, they've got
Get the questions answered. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's what's most important. You know, I wasn't on the subcommittee on the House.
yeah,
And I was trying to cram to
right.
learn as much as possible
Yeah.
after it come out of committee to be able to make a decision. But
Yep.
um,
Well, and the good thing, the takeaway, because I had some time driving around this weekend, and I watched the.
why is that?
I'm not even going into that. But I had some extra windshield time and got to listen to the Senate committee. It was about 3-4 hours, but I mean, seeing all those senior senators shows. I think it demonstrates they're serious about passing
What
an energy
shows
bill.
how important it is,
Right.
and that's what we were trying to explain last year. You know, we've explained it on here from a tech standpoint how important it is to have the energy if we want to lead. But I don't think people really realize how
And-
close we are to a grid failure if we don't get something going.
Well, and not to mention that, just also economic development.
yeah,
South Carolina highlights the Southeast in one of the fastest growing business friendly states.
we don't have to give all the incentives if we have the energy to bring them here to begin with.
And one of the things I think was pointed out in the Senate committee was our power rates are below the national average.
Yeah.
I think it's like 2 cents or so per watt per kilo. Anyway, but it's below the national average. So when a data center or when light manufacturing or whatever wants to come set up, power rates are going to be cheaper. So yeah, it was good to see that. And back to the nuclear, it's carbon free. I mean, and what did Duke tell us?
It's actually the cleanest
Yep, and
energy that there is, and more of the environmentalists are starting to come around and push more
Right.
for nuclear.
And it was what, 96%? Like it was running?
The efficiency of it, yeah.
96%.
I mean, because you're basically, I never understood how it used
There's
or how it worked.
There's no downtime,
Yeah.
right? Whereas a solar panel or a solar farm,
So, well,
that ain't getting warmed up to about
just
9
the
a.m.
simplicity of how it works, just so people can kind of understand it a little bit, because I found that the most interesting.
Yes.
was how do you generate energy? So you picture a water wheel or a windmill. You know, those things are pushing.
Right.
And the more that spins, the more energy it spins because it's spinning around the magnets to create
Yep.
the energy. So what they do is they use these atoms and split them.
Yeah, these isotopes and they
It starts bouncing around. Well, as it's bouncing around, it is heating up and getting hot. So you're flooding water on it, and then that water is turning into steam. And instead of the steam coming directly out, they capture the steam, so it's not going in one place.
turning those turbines.
Yeah, goes
And what'd they
into
say?
another place to turn the turbines. 18,000 rotations per minute, or
Something like that, 1800? Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 18,000, but maybe.
But hey, whatever it's doing, it's generating electricity at the highest efficiency possible
And it's just using steam.
and carbon free.
So we often hear about, like I even made the joke comment in there about what about the five-eyed fish? But, I mean, we always make those jokes and we're thinking of like Chernobyl, toxic waste leaking and things like that. There's nothing like that. It is essentially just creating steam.
Yeah.
And they showed the entire waste of since the plant's been in operation.
Right.
On the
since
site.
40 years or so.
And I mean, the footprint is so small.
Your average Pizza Hut parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big. We didn't go into all the details of that storage. I can't imagine how long that stuff is, like the heat.
Yeah, because it's got to cool down. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I just
But I do understand a little bit now about why our weather, how you see these storms come in over York County, and they seem to split and go around us, and it probably is due to all of that steam going up in the atmosphere from the cooling towers.
what, creating pressure or something?
No, I mean I think just the temperature drop and everything else. I mean you have all that steam going up.
Are we trying to segue over to the plane dropping chemicals in the contrails?
No chemtrails on it. Although maybe they fly by.
I
and
think
pick
last
it up. No, I'm
episode
just
you did start bringing up conspiracy theories. I was like, wait a minute, let's save that for one episode, please.
Nah, I haven't bought into the chemtrails yet. However, I have heard some compelling videos.
Stop. What, on TikTok?
No. Seriously. I'll share them with you. You tell me whether you think that they're
Okay.
But no, I mean it hasn't got into not like what we hear about on these massive things, but you do hear about some of the chemicals that are used to change the weather. And I mean, I do believe that the government can control weather. Do you not?
I mean, maybe in isolated cases for like experiments, but I just think.
I mean, those massive storms out there in the Middle East. Where was it? The real rich place in the Middle East.
Yeah. Qatar?
No, where they got the massive domes.
Abu Dhabi?
Dubai.
That's probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they showed them tornadoes and everything ripping through there. But they are essentially, from what they were saying, is they're trying to generate the weather or control the weather there to give more rain.
Oh, okay.
And then that was TikTok, so might not be accurate.
China. Yeah. So yeah, so we did that visit. Senate had their energy or their first committee meeting. So it'll be interesting. They had both Dominion, Duke, and Santee Cooper there. So our major utilities. And I would, if you've got 4 hours next week, you
see if you can can anyone go into a tour?
What's that?
Can anyone just go? Oh, you're talking about the Senate committee.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the tour. I was about to say, because the tour was about 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was. It was about 2.5. But I don't know. They probably do some stuff for some public, but no, the Senate. It was 4 hours. But good discussion. The video's online. You can go check it out at State House website or the app if you got it. But it'll be interesting to see what we can do with that energy legislation, because I think we're already a little bit behind.
It'll be a number one priority for both chambers this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Jay West headed up the House ad hoc this past session. maybe in hindsight, we could have did a Senate and House ad hoc, because it literally seems like we as the House did ours,
Yeah.
put a bill together,
And then just told the Senate to trust us.
and the Senate was like, no, not doing that, not
Yeah.
taking that up. Now they're going through the same process we're going through. But, man, they're talking about trying to craft some legislation by November. I mean, so, right. And look at the membership. So it's a priority for them now. Thank you. You're late. A year late. But hopefully we'll get an energy bill to streamline permitting and get those power generation
Do we need
online quicker. And here's the other thing. Not only are we building generation for the just massive amounts of growth, we're also having to compensate and supplement the grid for the coal-fired power plants that we have to turn off.
Yeah.
Now, there's some federal regulations that you don't turn it off until you can replace it, so that's good. But, so there's also that whole scenario that, a layperson who doesn't pay attention to state government wouldn't know. But I think Santee Cooper has the highest of its portfolio in generation in coal. I think it's about 65%. So I think Duke, their president's last name's Callahan. I think he said his was around 35. So yeah, work to be done there, but looking forward to see what we can do legislatively next year.
Yeah, I want to learn more about it. Do you think we need a subcommittee to figure out the health SAR?
All right, welcome back. Hey, I wanted to touch on the DNC. I know we were busy. You probably didn't watch it that much, but
you didn't respond to the Uniparty invite.
I did not. I did though. Check it out on Twitter and some of the highlights. And I just wanted, you and I were just talking.
Yeah.
And this is an unscheduled sort of segment, but so they literally have Bernie Sanders up there talking about how we got to get billionaires from both parties to get out of politics and stop running the primaries, and because Bernie did get hosed a couple times by the superdelegates. So anyway, he's doing the class warfare thing. Billionaires are supporting the Republicans. They're corrupt. Blah blah blah. Well, then the governor of Illinois.
Isn't more billionaires supporting Democrats?
Oh man, yeah, it's a wild world we're living in.
We have Elon for the first time.
Yeah. So, but following him was Governor J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois. Pretty wealthy guy, and I'll just play the clip, and then we'll get back to. I want to hear your response. I mean, because it's just something else, man.
Donald Trump thinks that we should trust him on the economy because he claims to be very rich. But take it from an actual billionaire.
And they cheered.
An actual billionaire.
Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on, man.
I mean, we're sticking to policy, right?
How tone deaf is that? I mean, the guy, successful guy. I do not try to shame people for being successful. But if you're going to go to the DNC and have this crescendo of support coming out of it, you think that's probably the smartest thing to say? I mean, take it from an actual billionaire?
It's kind of like, wrapping a van whenever your vice chair just got investigated for
here we
child
go.
sex abuse material.
I see how the segue.
I mean, it's stupidity. I mean,
Yeah.
but it comes on all sides.
All right, you want to get into that? As Fitz News has been reporting.
Oh yeah.
They seem to be the only folks who are reporting on it, and he does seem to be leading on a lot of stories. And then I think the state had an article about, for the two listeners out there, we're referring to the Fitz News article regarding the one of the founding members of the South Carolina Freedom Caucus, Vice Chair
R.J. May.
R.J. May.
which y'all might have heard from like episodes 2 through 12 about May made millions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But his home was allegedly, or no, the state
his home-
confirmed it. State
yeah.
confirmed it. But his house was searched for electronic devices.
By Homeland Security.
Yeah.
ICAC.
SLED. Yeah. So it was multi-jurisdictional.
Yeah.
And, so there's a lot of speculation to that. I think Will had got some reporting that it was CSAM, child sexual abuse material, was what they were after.
And they claim that they have confirmed that as well. And this is all going off of Fitz News reporting because there are tons of rumors out there.
Yeah.
We've all heard the rumors.
Well, and if your house got raided, or my house got raided, or my guest house got raided,
or your pool house, or your guest house, servant's quarters house.
But it would make news, right?
Yeah.
Just because we are,
Yeah.
we hold the public trust until we don't.
And I guarantee you there'd be a whole group of people that would not be too quiet about it. That are staying quiet right now.
I've been a little surprised. I think just recently here in the offseason, Jordan Pace out of Berkeley County, Dorchester County, down the Low Country, he was elected the chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if of another vice chair? Maybe April Cromer?
April Cromer is what I heard.
Okay.
Which I like Jordan and April. They're both freshmen with us.
Are you surprised they haven't come out and put out they're usually pretty quick to get to social media and put out a statement.
Well, not just them.
And so I'm just surprised.
Not just them. RJ.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Someone who makes their living communicating.
In what world, if you are innocent, do you stay quiet after the article comes out that says that you are being investigated for child sex abuse material?
Right.
I immediately go on and say, look, I'm innocent of these crimes. I'm going to let the investigation run its course. Like, that's the minimum that you do.
I was going to say, and I'm sure RJ has a good attorney by now, but any legal advisor would tell you, just shut up, no comment, no comment.
Yeah, but you also have to worry about your public image.
No, correct. Especially him running a business that deals in communications, right?
Yeah.
Campaign, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, at a minimum, I think coming out and saying, hey, listen, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in our system of justice. I'm afforded due process. I'm innocent until proven guilty. I claim my innocence, and until there's charges, at a minimum.
You've got to.
At a minimum.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely surprised that we haven't heard anything.
Well.
Or maybe even from his legal counsel to come out and prepare a statement. Even that, preparing a written statement and then pushing it out.
So I got a phone call from Andrew. So evidently Will Folks, who owns Fitz, is not reporting on this because a little too close, which, one of Ivory Tusk's consultants also works for Fitz News.
Are you saying a potential conflict of interest? Hey, actually, I applaud Will for doing that.
Right. That I can respect. Because
he's trying to keep the name of Fitz News above board.
And,
you know what I mean?
I used to carry Fitz News' name in high regard.
Yeah.
And once I started seeing the spin and how basically it was whatever RJ wanted it to be, seemed to be the articles. And especially whenever we were arguing for our amendment on, not allowing members to campaign within the body that they serve, and how it was twisted as you and I are establishment trying to take down the Freedom Caucus.
Well, no. It wasn't even that. It was that the purpose of the amendment, or actually the bill, was to oust a member of the Freedom Caucus from the House. From the House seat. First off, that's not possible. Okay.
Right.
The only person, and again, who would be the body. If someone did something that, say, being charged with a felony, I think that vote would go to the body. You and I, as members, cannot just kick somebody out.
Right. And it was not about kicking out RJ. Matter of fact, it wasn't even about hurting his career. It
No.
was still run whatever campaigns you want, just not within the body that you serve.
The General Assembly, and specifically the House of Representatives, is more important, right? The integrity of that body is more important than your personal business or whatever, right?
Right.
And so when you're elected, there's a public trust that comes with it, right? It's just part of the job. And so you and I have talked about this in the past. I'll talk about it again. There have been a few bills, or maybe even a few items in a budget, where I have some potential private interests in if I were awarded the contract, right, for the construction. And guess what?
You recuse yourself.
I just sign a form. I
Yeah.
let ethics folks know I cannot, because potentially I'm bidding on the construction of this publicly or even partially public funded project. And so I'm not voting on it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so,
ethics is quick to answer the phone and let you know, and it's
Yeah.
better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're like, hey, here's a form to recuse yourself, and
Correct.
here it states why.
And because I value the integrity not only of myself but also the chamber, right? Because when these things happen to us as individuals, if we're charged,
Makes all of us look bad.
that is correct. It brings a shadow on
Yeah.
the entire chamber. And
Correct.
so, this was your idea, that bill, right? And I was like, absolutely. It just came time to speak on it, and you're like, no, man, I'll get too riled up.
I'll get too riled up over it. Well, and that goes back to the purpose of me getting a phone call. Number one
Yeah.
was because I posted a picture because Ralph Norman had a Republican women's event down in Florence, South Carolina.
Yeah.
My phone starts blowing up from numerous people
Oh, yeah, that's right.
with pictures of a van. It's a Mercedes Sprinter van that's like an RV.
Yeah.
Like one of these $180,000 vans. Now, granted, Fitz says it's 2018. I don't know. I don't really care.
Right.
Joe White bought it himself. He's successful. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But they wrapped it with the South Carolina Freedom Caucus logos. And on the side, and this was like 2 days after the RJ story, and I just posted and I said, I don't know if this is the smartest move. Do y'all have candy in there? And I mean, kind of poking fun, right? So that caused a little bit of a problem. And then I went on, Joe White made this long post about how great the Freedom Caucus was, but then he kept saying the Rhino Caucus
Yeah.
in his post. So I went on his page and I said, have any Rhino Caucus members had a search warrant served on them for child sex abuse materials? Simple question, just answer yes or no, move on, right? He blocks me, which is an ethical violation to begin with. But
Oh, because he's now a public.
it's his public official page, right? So I go back and I get on my personal citizen page and come back, ask the question again, and then explain to him that it is an ethics violation to block me as a citizen of South Carolina.
Right.
And, and I would think that someone that serves within a group that, just plastered their motto on the side about individual freedom of speech
Yeah.
would not be for censorship. But, some of us 80 plus old don't really seem to understand things at all times. But he posts that on there, or he replies back that he only knows one POS alcoholic within the body that should be working with people, but they're too scared to work with him because of his anger issues or something of that nature. So that whole alcoholic narrative came out back whenever I think it was against one of Rob Harris's opponents. And I stood up for them, then all Rob Harris's people started coming on there and called me an alcoholic. So it is this narrative, which I am waiting. I replied and said, who is that? Just waiting on them to say my name, because I will file a defamation suit
Right.
as soon as it's done. All someone's got to do is say my name, and
But now
I
he
will
stopped
file a
short of that.
defamation. Yeah.
Okay.
But I am sick and tired of the lies, especially considering I don't even keep alcohol at my house.
Well, and it's, it's really just the immaturity.
It's the deflection of I won't say anything about child sex abuse material, but let me try to deflect and say, this is your problem. Let me create this lie. So whenever I got the phone call from Andrew, he called.
Now, who is Andrew?
Andrew is the reporter for Fitz that is handling it now.
Okay.
So whenever he called, he said, I'm sure you've heard all the rumors and all this. And then started to say, he talked about the POS alcoholic, and he even confirmed that he had someone else say, oh, yeah, Guffey's just a drunk that likes to run his mouth. Mm-hmm. My response to him was, they must think that, just because that's the only way they get balls to speak up is to have some alcohol, that they think I must be drunk to run my mouth.
Yeah.
But he asked me my opinion, and my opinion started the conversation off with, I am just glad that Fitz did the reporting, because up until now, I just thought Fitz News was the Freedom Caucus's bitch. Direct quote.
Did Andrew put that in the article?
No, he did not.
Okay.
But the article come out and said something like, there's a pedophile within our midst. I don't believe that I said that. I mean, that doesn't sound like me. I might have said, I find it hilarious that if this was anybody else, they would be speaking up in volumes and blasting. I mean, they create these lies all the time.
Yeah.
That they have no fact about and spread it. And Fitz News is right there with them spreading it.
Well,
but yet, whenever you actually have something concrete, they won't speak up about it.
Yeah. So when you're describing all this, I think you and I were around each other the other day when this article came out, and I was reading it. And my takeaway...
they put your name in the article too.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was trying to oust RJ.
Well, the other rumor was that I'm the one, because I work with Homeland and ICAC, or NCMEC on a federal level, like I somehow was able to get them to raid RJ's house. I was like, oh yeah, of course that's going to be part of it.
Right.
And if I had the power to raid anybody's computer, it certainly wouldn't have been RJ's. It'd been Rob Harris's. So, I mean, it's not like I'm picking people out and just saying, oh, go get them. I don't have any power like that. If that was the case, my son's case would already be solved.
Well, my takeaway from all this is, first, it's an ongoing investigation with RJ, right? So I don't want to make a public comment about it. It is Will Folks' article really had multiple sources on it. So I haven't found Will to just go and make things up out of thin air for the body of a story. I've never.
No, but he will parrot what the Freedom Caucus says.
Yeah, he's like a lot of times his articles, anonymous sources and those types of things, but he's close. You know what I mean? There's
and I think that's
right. So
I don't disagree with that at all.
And so now he may not get certain quotes right, or you know what I mean? Because I literally think I was quoted in an article.
We can all drive a car, but whether you can stay out of the ditch or not is what's important.
Right. I was literally quoted in an article when I was I think first year, and it and
you didn't even say anything.
Was never contacted by the publication.
Yeah.
Now whoever the hearsay came from was in the room when I did say something, and he caught the spirit of what I was saying.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't call. I wasn't mad. It was pretty, it wasn't any divisive statement I said. I just said, hey, we need to solve this, which is sort of sounds like me. I don't focus on the problems. Let's focus on solutions, But so for one, man, if all of this leads to charges, that is going to be major news.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how it doesn't lead to charges. The difference is whenever you serve a warrant on something like this, and this became one of my arguments on one of our many discussions talking about end-to-end encryption.
Right.
So many of these apps have went to end-to-end encryption. And that's one of the reasons I really promote the cyber dive, is because it allows you to see at any time what was said on end-to-end encryption. But you can't go back and just do a search warrant and pull up end-to-end encryption. So you have to have the device to be able to go back and see it, right? So you pull a search warrant to pull the devices, to see the conversation.
Okay.
So if you've got multiple, let's say you're chatting with someone on end-to-end encryption, let's say Signal, which is something that most people are familiar with. And we're having a conversation on Signal, and I'm doing it from my computer 1 minute, but then I get onto my phone. Well, my phone doesn't pick up the conversation from my computer, but we can continue a conversation.
Oh, okay. I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where it becomes a little bit tough. But the search warrants on a federal level are not typically given unless there is significant proof already.
Yeah.
And in this case, I mean,
Well,
granted, everyone else wants to give the PC version of he is innocent until proven guilty. And I understand that.
Yeah.
I completely understand that.
And you,
However,
and
I
you
lack a
agree,
tolerance.
but you agree with that principle?
I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But whenever it comes to child sex abuse material,
Yeah.
it's something that I have zero tolerance for.
Oh, I have zero tolerance for it, but I
especially
also,
whenever you're not going to even speak up to say I'm innocent.
yeah.
So the only thing we've heard is you're guilty and you don't even want to speak up and say I'm innocent.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that someone is innocent whenever they're being investigated and you can't even say that you're innocent.
well, I think words matter, and so I want to be careful because, I think one of my biggest criticisms of some of the folks in the Freedom Caucus is that everyone's corrupt.
Yeah.
Everyone's part of the swamp. Everybody's this. Everybody's that. Early on, Joe and I were friendly. We were cordial. We were social, and I would talk to him. The minute we did the amendment saying that you cannot be a sitting House member and run House campaigns.
Unfortunately, for some people, it's
lot
more important
of-
about the caucus than it is
A
about
lot of Freedom Caucus members just
policy.
stopped talking to us.
Yeah.
They saw it as we were going after their leader, right? And I get it on a political platform, but we're all still humans. That's a part-time job for 124 members.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of times that I don't, at my day job, my full-time job, I don't get along with everybody every day all the time, but I still treat them with respect and all those types of things. And we're still friends and all that kind of stuff. The point is,
There won't be no respect coming from me.
well,
You want to try to say, call me an alcoholic,
no,
which anyone that knows me
Correct.
knows that's the furthest thing from the truth.
Well, and I haven't got the personal attacks as you have.
yeah. No.
And I never, I didn't have RJ running a
And if
candidate
you're
against
going
me.
to say it, have the balls to say it,
Right.
not imply it.
So yeah, I just, my thing is, whatever comes out, again, if he is charged, those are serious charges. Did a little research. This isn't something that is going to be 2 years suspended sentence
No.
or probation.
No.
This is long time in prison.
Yeah.
This is a serious investigation that he's under.
If there's charges brought, best case is child sex abuse material, worst case is trafficking.
Yeah.
That becomes
And that's what, 15, 20 years?
Just the child sex
Per-
abuse material. Yeah.
Right. So,
But trafficking, you're talking Epstein. If they hit you with trafficking,
yeah.
These people wouldn't be sitting here standing up for Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we'll wait for charges to be brought.
Yeah.
Granted, maybe they just want to stay quiet until charges are brought.
Yeah.
But bottom line is that doesn't mean start spreading rumors about me just because you can't.
No.
You've been bashing us. Our conversation, and you and I were in a text thread with one of the Freedom Caucus members that, we thought it was wise to let them know, hey, don't come out in defense until all the details are there because it might look really bad for you if you do.
Well, because I think some initial things that we heard from members of the Freedom Caucus was RJ was saying it was a gun charge or it was weaponization of the deep state against him.
Right.
Which, man, that speaks something to how he thinks of himself.
The difference is, and everyone might say that, But that has been my problem with the Freedom Caucus narrative for the past year and a half.
Yeah.
Is it's always like that. It's always that twisting of words instead of the truth.
Well, and it's hyperbolic. It's irresponsible language.
Yeah.
If you're and I've had this conversation with members of the Freedom Party constantly. If you're going to call somebody corrupt,
show it.
Show me the receipt.
Yeah.
And I said, not in front of the press.
Speaking of,
not in front of a group of people, just me and you.
Yeah, just show me.
Because a lot of the Freedom Party folks were members of our freshman class. And so we were, you had that all
trust
coming in together.
Just show me. Don't just say, oh, man, and you're going to see. You're going to see.
And I talked at length. I was like, guys, girls, if you're going to call someone corrupt, that is a serious charge. You better have evidence.
Yeah.
You better have the receipt, whether it's financial crimes, good old boy, dealing, whatever you're implying, show me.
Yeah.
Guess what? I have not been shown a shred of written evidence or anything, video evidence, tape record, whatever. Nothing.
Yeah.
And so that just demonstrated to me that, this is for social media. This is for raising money.
Well,
this is for raising a profile of 13 to 15 folks in the House who are trying to make a name for themselves first, right? And then maybe principle and policy second, third, and then their government service way down the list.
Right.
And if I'm wrong, I want them to show me. I'll work with them individually, right, on good policy.
Well, I am very hopeful that under new leadership with Jordan and with Adam, Morgan, and RJ gone, I would say Stewart, but I liked Stewart. I'm hopeful that we will see a different Freedom Caucus than what we've seen. I hope that we will see more of fighting for policy without the accusations and the twisting of the narrative. And if that's the case, then I'm happy. Like, let's focus on policy.
Yeah. Well,
let's do that. But you got to think, I have felt personally attacked for 2 years.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going to sit here and just overnight be okay with it. And then you still got Joe White posting Rhino Caucus this and Rhino Caucus that. No.
Yeah. Right. Well, he's a flamethrower. He likes to throw, grenades in rooms and then walk out of it.
Yeah.
Let everybody else suffer consequences. But there was a good metaphor that a friend shared with me that, in any job you do, there's a process, right? Of filling out your paperwork for your paycheck, whatever it is. Just like the DMV, it's a government service. You walk in, you give them your ID, you fill out a little form, they give you a little receipt with a number, whether it's paying your tag or getting a new tag or turning one in or taking your kid to get a license or driver test, whatever it is. There is a process for all those things at a DMV. What the Freedom Party likes to do is, in this metaphor, walk into a DMV with a bat, start screaming and yelling, busting up the registers and saying, I'm not waiting in this line. I'm not taking your receipt with a number on it.
Yeah.
Give me my tag, damn it, and I'm leaving. Right? They don't want to go through the process. They don't want to. You don't come into anywhere and just start dictating what the body of 124 members is going to do.
Right.
When you just showed up.
There's 124 people with the same power as you.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 124 districts out there that have interests that are just as valid and meritorious as yours and mine, right? And there's a process. You got to work with other folks, but the problem is they don't want to do that. Well, that is the impression that I've got. I have had hope on some of the members that was in our freshman class, and I still have hope for that. I'm hoping for that. If there are some good policy issues, like we talked about energy, that, they want to be a part of, great.
Yeah.
I am not a person like, just because we don't get along all the time, we can't get along now.
Right.
To push this conservative agenda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic about it. But
we'll see. We're coming up, and we got new people coming in.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see what it looks like from there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, as long as there's a fight, I'm in it. So don't start crying about it whenever what's happening to you is happening right away. Whenever you've been doing the shit to us for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, we'll continue to keep the two listeners updated on this as it progresses. All right. Thanks for two listeners for listening to episode 30. You ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, man.
Man, another thing that happened this week, we ran over to the coast to get with some of our
Dirty Myrtle.
colleagues. Yeah.
Which is not so dirty anymore.
No.
It's hard to call it Dirty Myrtle.
Yeah, especially on that north side, but
Well, that downtown renovation and everything that they're putting together. I mean, they've got some really nice.
yeah, and some of the like that. I don't know if it's an art district or historic district. I don't know what Myrtle Beach is calling it, but we did have dinner with Mayor Bethune and some of the city staff there from the city of Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And they showed us around sort of their old town, right over, if you've ever been to the Country Music Festival.
Yep, right downtown. There's a little brewery there. I can't remember the name of the brewery.
Yeah. But we started there and then sort of did a progressive dinner to next door. Is
Progressive as in we moved to another
walked.
place, not
Yeah.
like left-leaning dinner.
Yeah.
Just so we can clarify for some people.
Old sessions, walking right into it, But and what was the name of that restaurant? Winnie's or
I don't remember, truthfully.
I don't know. Myrtle Beach.
It was right
folks, give
beside
us a shout
Dalai
out.
Lama.
But
I remember the Dalai Lama.
the Dalai Lama ice cream shop. I mean,
Yeah.
we did not eat the ice cream because dessert was served.
We sat out there talking to the owner for a while. Though.
Yeah,
It was great.
But the marketing of that, But yeah, so talking to her, talking about how historic tax credits, abandoned building, and some of those things are important to the revitalization of that downtown was good to hear because it sounds similar to what, Rock Hill's going through. Or even been through, being a textile town. We've had, when NAFTA came through, early 90s, like farting the wind, textiles ran out of here. And it left a lot of abandoned real estate.
I want to point this out because often we will hear, oh, you met with this person? Oh, they're left or they're out there or anything else.
So we can only meet with just that premise is we can only meet with people who 100% agree with us.
Yeah, and I disagree with that.
Get out of here. Me
but
too.
I can tell you this. The mayor of Myrtle Beach, Brenda, has been there for only, 6.5 years?
Yeah.
And the amount that has been done. And growing up there, her family had if I'm not mistaken, her family had one of the hotels on the Strip. So she was familiar with everything that
she was aware
Myrtle
of the
Beach was
opportunities
known.
and
has taken that vision and not only that, sold it to the people of Myrtle Beach, sold it to council of Myrtle Beach, and everyone's rowing in the same direction. And it's amazing how quickly a city can change if you're not all fighting amongst each other.
Yeah.
And trying to stop it. But she has been a great leader and a catalyst for the city of Myrtle Beach.
It definitely seems like a shared vision there.
Yeah.
I got to sit next to some of the assistant city managers there in Myrtle Beach and just talking to him about all the stuff that they're planning and what's going on there currently. I think they're renovating an old building into a 350 seat theater, sort of like performing arts type stuff. So that's just going to be great to bring in acts and venues and live entertainment.
And this
downtown.
used to be the downtown area where whenever I was growing up, it's where we went to skate. Because you weren't right on the Strip, you were back behind the pavilion.
Yeah.
And it was like downtown area, so everything would close up pretty early.
Oh, okay.
And you had all that area to just kind of skateboard.
Yeah.
So it was always a fun area to be at. But now they're really turning it into
a nice little entertainment arts district. Yeah. So just look forward to seeing what's gonna how that vision materializes here in the next 5-10 years. So also it was just great to get to hang out with our colleagues.
Yeah.
A lot of the folks that we serve with, we've become friends with.
Get to talk about what we're focusing on next year.
Yeah.
Possibilities of committees.
Yeah. we got general elections coming up in November for everybody. You fortunately are unopposed this time around.
Never doubt the write-in.
But all things, if all of us are fortunate enough to win in November, leadership and our caucus is already talking about priorities,
Right.
for 25, 26 session. So it was good to have that discussion and hear from folks from different districts what's important to them, what's important to their people. And so, we didn't finish anything. We just sort of threw out some ideas of what,
Brainstorming session.
Yeah. So thought
But
that was good.
we can't really go into too many details because things discussed within caucus need to stay within caucus. That way we have that the confidence of everyone that serves within there.
Well, and another thing is it's late August of 2024,
Yeah.
right?
We don't even really know what we're going to be dealing with after
Correct.
November.
We live in a static universe, and so things change all the time.
Correct.
So after Election Day, again, if everybody's successful, we're going to come back. They're going to have another freshman class. They're going to have orientation. We're going to have some reorg.
I want to do that orientation this time.
Yeah, so those are going to be the times where we probably firm up some of our priorities and legislative agenda and see what we can do in 25, 26. So looking forward to that. But yeah, had a good day or two getting to hang out with everybody, catch up.
Yeah.
So
Played not a full round of golf. Well, I didn't. I don't know if
Yeah.
you played a full round or not.
No.
We got to play a little bit of golf, which was good.
Yeah.
Even though I'm horrible.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible too, man. Yeah, no, we played about 12 holes, but
Oh, you
yeah.
didn't make it to hole 13?
no.
That was the famous hole.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, which one was that? Was
the
that
one with the mass that you couldn't hit it over the water. You think you can, but you can't.
Oh yeah, we did make it to that.
The par
Yep.
5.
You short
Yeah.
drive and then you go over the water.
Yeah.
Yep. I actually hit a good 3-wood over the water. Y'all were on the tee box because y'all start trying to.
Oh yeah,
just
because y'all passed
bomb-
us
Y'all start
Yeah.
trying to bomb the.
going straight over.
Yeah, I go. Nope. Nope.
Gary was the only one that could hit it that far.
Yeah,
Me and Lander could not
Were y'all
hit it
taking
that.
like the old brown balls out of a bag somewhere?
No, I mean I was donating some balls just to get them to try.
But yeah, we had a good time for sure. So
Yeah.
but yeah, thanks again for Comer Distributing, providing the Founders All Day Grapefruit.
I finished one, so
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah,
It's not my particular taste, but if you like the fruity or grapefruit taste, it's definitely light.
And
So-
again, man, this thing of, I think the citrus is hiding that hoppiness.
Yeah, I don't taste the
You know what I mean?
hoppiness at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Like that.
I just taste
we
that
had
citrus.
that one cruising down the street in my 6-4, maybe might have been an IPA.
The coolest marketing, but the worst
Woo.
hoppy.
No, no.
it was.
If you like an IPA, you love that beer.
Yeah.
But you and I, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I could do one, maybe two, but yeah, thanks again for Comer Distributing for providing the beer of the week.
And thank you to Session Studio. I mean, this new equipment, we'll see how it sounds.
Yeah.
We'll see how the video looks.
Yeah.
We're here late because we were getting set up late.
Yeah,
So I
well,
feel like
yeah.
I'm about to fall asleep. It's kind of past my bedtime already.
100%. And the producer, I think, is enjoying, his seating arrangement here in the studio now.
A lot more comfy seating.
Yeah, and the lighting,
And we're not sweating.
Yes.
We're worried about the church because trying to cram 3 of us or 4 of us at times.
What is that in a 5
Into that
by
room.
8?
I mean, the
40
studio's
square feet.
nice,
Oh,
but
yeah.
trying to cram that many people in there and keep the door shut because of
The noise.
the
and-
church
yeah.
music or something was just especially
It was a
during
challenge.
summer.
It was a challenge. in
Wintertime
trying
it
to
wasn't
get,
as bad.
Good sound quality
Yeah.
for sure. So, but yeah, man, looking forward to maybe redecorating the place. Making it look a little more manly and
I'll bring the wife in here if you want.
Get
She's
some in
doing
there.
all the remodeling at our house right now.
but yeah, thanks for 2 listeners. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Anything you want or who you